This is Failing Justice.
Hey guys, welcome to the Failing Justice podcast. I am your host, Justin Carlson. This is a special show, simply because it's different. There's a lot of things I want to talk about here in the beginning. This is obviously on video, so that's I put a social media post out a couple weeks ago talking about this would be the first video podcast, and so I'm really pumped up about that. We are in downtown Dallas at my new recording studio. It's actually contracted with Hello Studios, so props to those guys. And this will be where the podcasts are recorded from now on. And I'm stoked about it. Happy that we're going to be on some new platforms. Going to be on Rumble. Going to be on YouTube. So we'll actually have this video, and so that's one of the things that makes this show different from here on out. Is that's going to be on video. Still going to be providing audio. Going to be putting it on all the same platforms that they've been on, but we're just introducing video. So that's super cool. I'm excited about it. I'm here solo today, but I just kind of want to give you the trajectory of the show from this point on. All of you that's listened to me up to now, you have heard me do special episodes with other people and telling their stories. Now, I'm still going to continue doing that. But the difference is going to be to keep content coming to you guys fresh every week. I'm going to turn this more into I don't like to use this word, but I guess it's just, or this term, but this kind of just what it is, a talk show. And so, and what that means, I'm just going to be coming at you, still focused on justice. I am not biased one way or the other. I am biased to right, okay? And so one of the things that I'm going to introduce on this show, and it may make some of you cringe, but I'm going to start introducing a little bit of politics. So let me tell you why. I feel like politics directly affect our law enforcement, directly affect our criminal justice system, and our country as a whole. And, man, I was talking to some of the producers, some of the people I'm going to have on as guests, and maybe even a full-time co-host in the future. I hate talking about politics because, man, it is just such a touchy thing for people. And I understand why. It is just deeply embedded in everything these days. But we have to talk about it because I feel like it directly affects justice. And what this show is about is right. What this show is about is justice. The name of the show is Failing Justice. So politics affect justice day in and day out. And so I don't want anybody to cringe, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not out here pro Donald Trump. I'm not out here pro Joe Biden. I'm pro right, okay? And I want to make that extremely clear up front for multiple reasons. But I don't want to scare anybody off. But I also just want to make that clear in my stance. When I say I'm going to talk about politics, I'm not going to be out here, super MAGA, and I'm not going to be out here, dogging Democrats. I am for what's right, and I just want to make that extremely clear. So now another thing that I want to make clear, which I've made clear before in other episodes, is this is not a cop bashing podcast. I want people to know, a lot of people don't know this, and I'm going to go ahead and reveal it here on this show. I'm going to reveal it right now. A lot of people don't know it, but I am still a cop. I've kept it under wraps for a while, I know all my website, everything that I usually put out says former. I'm a former detective. I'm still in law enforcement, but not in a detective role. I am in administration now, and so I never in a million years thought I would go back into law enforcement. And I was just so fed up with it and just ready to get out because of the things that I've experienced and things that I've seen other people experience. People have lost their freedoms. People have lost their lives because of corrupt law enforcement officers, corrupt district attorneys, corrupt judges. But I want everybody to know that there are good law enforcement officers that still exist. I know several of them. But what I am emphatically against are dirty, corrupt cops, dirty, corrupt judges, dirty, corrupt presidents, dirty, corrupt district attorneys, any public official who has taken an oath and who has our trust, I am against. So I want everybody to know. A lot of people, I get some hate mail sometimes that say, "Man, you just hate cops. You're just a cop basher. You're a blue falcon." Blue falcon's what they call people who, rat on cops or turn their back on cops who was a cop. That's not the case. I support law enforcement. I support the rule of law. I support democracy. I support all of these things. But I support it the way it was designed. And I support the Constitution. Our Constitution should be at the forefront of everything we do in this country. And unfortunately, these days, it's not. It's just out the window. People they act like they don't even know what the Constitution is. It's not even being taught very much anymore. And so I'm very much a constitutionalist. People say, "Well, what is your political status?" I'm going to be honest with you. If I had to answer that question and somebody had to nail me down, I would say I'm a moderate. I am life experience, my experience in the law enforcement field and the criminal justice field has shaped me and changed me into who I am today. I am not your typical cop, not your typical law enforcement officer. Because a lot of law enforcement who are active, they don't want to talk about these issues that I want to talk about. And here's my deal. I know by myself I'm not going to be able to change the entire system. I know that. But I can influence those who listen to me. And if I can just help one person, I feel like I've done my duty. And so if you listen to my very first episode of this podcast, Failing Justice Podcast, my debuted episode titled A Wrongful Indictment, you'll hear how I helped somebody, a young man that was targeted by the system, PJ Barksdale. Listen to that podcast and you can hear how he was just targeted, how I had to write the parole board, and how I was a part of that man making parole because it was right. What happened to him was wrong, and it was right that I stepped in because I had knowledge of the case. And so I, again, to reiterate, am for law enforcement in the criminal justice system, but I'm not for corrupt law enforcement in the corrupt criminal justice system. I'm not for that. So I want to make that stance clear right now while people are listening, because I want people to know I don't hate cops, but I'm going to call them out. I'm going to call them out on the carpet, and that's what this show is about. So I'm going to be calling in. There's going to be people still coming in. Man, I got people contacting me all the time, and they want to tell their stories. And so I'm still going to have people come in, still going to interview people. And like I had mentioned, there are a lot of things in the works with this show. I'm blessed to have this platform. I'm thankful for each and every one of you who has supported me along the way. This has not been easy, I promise you, for multiple reasons. I have lost a lot of friends, or who I thought was friends, because they think I'm a blue falcon and I just turned on cops. But that's fine. If that's what it takes to get this message out, then that's what it takes. And those people were never friends to begin with. But this show is going to carry on. It's going to be a little different. We're going to kind of do more talking style things. I'm going to go over. We're going to analyze some police body cam footage often. Go over things like that. And again, introducing some politics and still bringing people in. And I'm still doing some investigative work, kind of behind the scenes. And the truth of the matter is, you never know. I may release another podcast, a total separate podcast, just for investigative things and true crime. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to lay that foundation out right out the bat and let everybody know kind of where I am, the direction the show's going. I'm excited that we've got video. I'm excited that I've got this studio with this awesome view, with an awesome team here. That's kind of helping me along the way. So thank you guys for being a part of this show up to now. So one thing I want to talk about, and this kind of goes, right into politics. I hate to do that, just because I don't want people to think I'm just going to start solely focusing on politics. But I read this article today. I'm a couple days behind. Everybody knows of the Whitehouse cocaine scandal. Somebody left a bag of cocaine, a little baggie of cocaine in the White House, and it's been a big controversy because nobody's come out and said who it was, and everybody's like, how in the world, in the most secure place in this country, somebody leaves a bag of cocaine and we don't know who did it. Here's the fact of the matter, and people have been talking about this since it happened. The government only tells you what they want you to know. And so they know who left that bag of cocaine behind, because here's my deal. You can't tell me that you go in the most secure place in this country and you're going to leave something like that behind and they're not going to know who did it. So what I do want to do is this article that I read, it was first put out by Soldier of Fortune magazine. And the Susan Keating was the one who released the article. I have the article. I printed it out here in front of me, and it was ended up being picked up by the New York Post, and that's where I read it. It was yesterday on the New York Post. But it says, exclusive, the Secret Service told Joe Biden who brought cocaine into the White House, sources say. The Secret Service told President Joe Biden the name of the person who brought a packet of cocaine into the White House last month, according to 3 security sources with direct knowledge of the incident. All 3 sources independently told Soldier of Fortune magazine the same name, which arose from an investigation into the incident. The sources currently work for the U.S. government agency, are not authorized to speak to the media. Soldier of Fortune posed the question directly to Joe Biden via text message, and also to others within the family orbit, Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Ashley Biden, and Kamala Harris. The text message to President Biden is reproduced here. I'm going to read it to you. And it says, hello, Mr. President. Susan Katz Keating here, the publisher of Soldier of Fortune magazine. I've been trying to contact you in your office about the packet of cocaine that was found at the White House on July 2nd. 3 trusted sources tell me the Secret Service gave you the name of the person who brought the cocaine into the executive mansion. Is this true? And if so, can you please confirm the name? If you know the name and are not revealing it, please explain why. Many thanks, Susan. So a white substance, it was actually July 2nd where the cocaine was found, prompting a massive response from law enforcement and the hazmat teams. The discovery caused the White House to be evacuated and streets to be closed, along with key sectors of the White House. And so a lab proved that the substance was cocaine. Another test brought back a hit on fingerprints, a security source had said. The Secret Service launched an official investigation into who brought the cocaine into the executive mansion, but shut down the investigation on July 13 for lack of evidence. Right. Okay. But investigators know who brought the cocaine in, the security sources have said, and so does the president. If you want the name, ask Joe Biden, one source said. He knows it. So the White House offers a number for people to contact Biden directly. And so using that number, Susan sent that text message to Joe Biden. And so it says, "Hello, Mr. President. Susan Katz Keaton here, the publisher of Soldier of Fortune magazine. I've been trying to contact you in your office about the packet of cocaine that was found at the White House on July 2nd. 3 trusted sources tell me Secret Service gave you the name of the person who brought the cocaine into the executive mansion. Is this true? If so, can you please confirm the name? If you know the name, you're not revealing it. Please explain why." That's the text I just read to you. So when the cocaine was found inside the White House, some observers speculated the drug belonged to Hunter Biden. And we all know Hunter Biden has his scandal going on right now with Burisma and Ukraine. We get into that another time. But it's a big scandal going on with Hunter Biden right now. And he's had his own little stint with his laptop and all the pictures on his laptop. So that's why people assumed that it was Hunter Biden. But security sources had told Soldier of Fortune magazine that the first son was not involved. They said it was someone within the Biden family orbit, but it wasn't Hunter. So, I don't know if this is, a ploy to get people to stop talking about Hunter Biden, saying, hey, it's not him. It's somebody else. This could be, a total setup. I'm just kind of telling you guys what the story was and what they're reporting. So the text message that Soldier of Fortune magazine sent to Joe Biden, it didn't go through. It came back undelivered. So, and others within the family orbit, Jill Biden, Hunter Biden, Ashley Biden, and Kamala Harris did not immediately return requests for comment either. Representative James Comer, chairman of the House Oversight Committee last month, asked Secret Service directly to provide a staff-level briefing on the cocaine issue. And, really everybody has, even the press secretary, when asked about it, they just refused to talk about it. And so here's my deal about that. Like, when you have a governmental agency, a local governmental agency, a police department, somebody who refuses to talk about a scandal, that right there should just be your sign. That should be your sign that, hey, something afoot is going on here. Because if there wasn't, why wouldn't you just come out and talk about it? Man, they could have. The government, again, tells you what they want to tell you. So they could have easily said, hey, this came from somebody, I think personally it would have been a better story if they said, hey, we let this slip up. Like one of the visitors, brought this in and, it kind of slipped up and it got in. But, they just kind of took a turn and they weren't talking about it at all. And, that's like, if you've got a kid and, you walk in and the kid's got paint all over his hands and you look at the couch and the couch has got paint all over it and you say, hey, what happened? They turn and go the other way. That's a telltale sign. It's very obvious of what happened. They don't want to talk about it. So they're going to turn and go the other way. And the same thing with the federal government or anybody who don't want to talk about something that's going on because they know exactly what happened and that they're in the wrong. So to me, this is just the reason I highlight this is because, and I've always said it, and this is why I think politics is kind of somewhat important to justice and failing justice, because if we cannot have justice, if we cannot have transparency, if we cannot behave right at the federal level from the top, how in the world are you going to expect anybody else that's in power, who holds any kind of office, public office, to do what's right? You can't expect them to, because they're getting away with it on a national level, on a much higher level. So of course these local officials are going to get away with it because who's holding them accountable? Nobody is holding these people accountable, and the ones that are holding them accountable, something happens to those people. It's like their voices aren't strong enough. And, that's what people tell me. They say, hey, you're doing this podcast. Do you really think your little platform is going to help anything? You're just one little old person, in East Texas and North Texas. And do you think you're really going to be able to affect some sort of change? And I'll say it just like I said it, just a few minutes ago. Like, I know that I'm not going to be able to change the entire system, but I promise you I'm going to advocate for it. And just like this cocaine found in the Whitehouse, and it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing, to our country. And it just, all it does is tell people, hey, there's no accountability on a grander scheme. So how is there going to be accountability on a lower scale? So I wanted to talk about that. Some of you may have heard about it. Some of you may have not, but now we know about it. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about an incident that happened. This happened back in February. The incident I'm about to talk to you about happened back February 18th of 2023, actually. But the updates on the lack of charges and what they're going to do about this issue has just come up. And so what it is, it is a deputy in Lamar County, Colorado. Okay, so this deputy in Lamar County, Colorado, his name is Lorenzo Lujan. Lorenzo Lujan is a deputy for Lamar County Sheriff's Office, Lamar County, Colorado, and he stopped a gentleman by the name of Brent Thompson in Lamar County back in February. So when he made this stop, let me tell you what. I want to play the video. I want you guys to watch the video just so you have a visual of what happened. I just want to warn everybody ahead of time. It's a pretty graphic and disturbing video. So if you can't handle that, don't watch it. But I just want to put that warning out there for you guys. So go ahead and let's play this video, and you guys take a look at it, and then we'll talk about it.
So, did you give me the right name?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Jacob Todd Jones.
Okay. Why don't you give me the right name?
It is the right name.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Brent, I know. So, right now you're under arrest. Stop! You're gonna get tased! Stop!
All right, so there you see it. Extremely disturbing, extremely shocking. That's pretty rough to watch. The reason I want to talk about this, so let me give you the deets on this. So February 18th, 2023, around 9 p.m., Deputy Lewin spotted a Ford Fusion with expired tags. So just off of Interstate 25, the driver of the car left a hotel. He followed it. The deputy followed it, so he initiated a traffic stop. And so when he initiated a traffic stop, he made contact with Thompson. He asked for backup. Backup apparently never arrived. So at first, Thompson told the deputy that his name was Jacob Jones. Okay. And so when Lewin ran that name, the deputy ran the name, he saw the photos of that person. It clearly did not match, the person driving the Fusion, Mr. Thompson. So anyway, short time after that, because of the fake name, Thompson insisted that he didn't lie, but the deputy, at that point decided that he was going to place him under arrest. So he told Thompson, he said, "Hey, you're under arrest. I'm going to be taking you to jail." So Thompson took off running. Okay. So when he took off running, you can see in the video, he kind of runs down an embankment, and he ends up there on Interstate 25. And the deputy, it's pitch black, right? You can see that it's super dark out there. And when he first runs in the roadway, there were no cars coming, but the deputy tases Thompson right there in the right lane of travel, just tases him. And if I don't know if you're listening to this and been tased, but let me tell you what happens when you tase. You seize up. You have no control. Your muscles tighten up and you can't do nothing. So he's on the ground because the deputy tased him. He fell on the ground. He's tensed up. The deputy then he sees the traffic coming. You can see the traffic coming down Interstate 25, and the deputy says, "Oh shit!" He knows that it's bad. Like at that point, he recognizes the severity of the situation. And so vehicle comes and runs over Mr. Thompson. Unfortunately, Mr. Thompson did not survive. And that was a bad situation. And so I want to talk about that just, again, I know some people are going to say, I already hear it, send me the hate mail, do what you got to do. But people are going to say, oh, well, you're just Monday morning quarterbacking another fellow officer. Well, listen, this is how we learn, okay? If you're a cop and you're watching this and you can't sit down and have this crucial conversation, or you can sit down and have this crucial conversation, but you're automatically 100% in defense of the cop, you have a problem. You probably shouldn't be a cop. I'm just going to be honest with you. So from one cop talking to probably other cops watching this and anybody else, I kind of want to dissect this for a minute, because there were some things that that officer could have completely done different. So first things first, one of the strange things was he just told Mr. Thompson, hey, when he's up on the embankment, he says, hey, you're under arrest, right? To me, that's kind of like the first thing you don't do. As far as tactics go, you don't just tell somebody they're under arrest without already having your hands on them. Not that was going to prevent him from running or fighting, but when you grab a hold of somebody and you're like, hey, you're under arrest, and you get a cuff on or something like that, you got them. So if they're going to fight or take off or whatever at that point, you can just put them on the ground, right? Now, if they do end up taking off running, they get out of your grab, then okay. But I just felt like him telling him he was under arrest just right off the bat like that was not the smartest thing in the world to do. But so told him he was under arrest. The guy said, no, I'm not going to have it. So he took off running down the embankment, ran right down into Interstate 25. Now, listen, I'm all for giving chase, okay? The deputy definitely should have gave chase. If the guy broke the law, he's running, chase him. That's what cops do. That's what we've done forever. But he had such tunnel vision, okay? He had such tunnel vision that you're always taught by most people, by most field training officers, most police academies, people ingrained in you were to catch the bad guy, right? But sometimes, man, it's just not worth it. Sometimes you really have to step back in those moments, and they're hard moments. They are hard moments because your adrenaline's pumping. You're immediately reverting back to your training. Okay, and we can talk about that all day long as far as training goes. You revert back to your training just to catch the guy, no matter what the circumstances. And that's what he did. He ran after him. And here's what I think should have happened. Once he hit that freeway, that interstate, that deputy should have just stopped. You know, if the guy was going to run out there, and let's say Mr. Thompson got ran over by himself on his own, there was no taser probes in his back, that's, you know, at that point, that's kind of on him. A lot of people want to sit here and say, well, he shouldn't have ran. That's his own fault. That's a shitty way to think. I can't stand it when cops say, or anybody says, well, he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it. Well, you're right. You know, he shouldn't have done it. But you still have an oath, and that is to protect even those that are being stupid. And so in that moment, he made a dumb decision to run. Okay. But because of the officer was so tunnel vision on catching him, he deployed his taser. The guy seized up in the lane of travel. At that point, you know, he couldn't go anywhere else. His movement was stopped. It wasn't like they were, you know, in a parking lot, in a field, in a front yard. You hit somebody with a taser probe, they fall down the front yard. He was in the middle of the road, and so he couldn't do anything. And he got ran over, and he lost his life. And so, in my opinion, that deputy, once Mr. Thompson hit that freeway, hit that interstate, he should have just, he has a radio. He should have said, hey, you know, he's running northbound, southbound, whatever. This is what he looks like. He just ran into the interstate. I'm going to go ahead and stop because, you know, I don't think it's safe that I continue running after him. And here's my deal. Even if he continued running, I wouldn't even really had a problem with that. You know, if he let the guy cross the interstate, and then next thing you know, when it's safe, the deputy crosses the interstate. Maybe they cross the other side. They continue chase, you know, on the embankment or something. You know, that's a whole different story. But to deploy your taser right there in the middle of the road, and then the man dies because you deployed his taser. You stopped his movement. He died because you tased him. I have a problem with that. So here's my deal. This article says right here, I want to read this. It says on Friday, Lamar County District Attorney Gordon McLaughlin said in a letter that that no charges would be filed against the deputy related to the February 18th death of Mr. Thompson. However, the letter did say that the deputy was, failed to fully assess the imminent threat of oncoming traffic, and there was a clear lapse in judgment. Now, that's kind of a sticky situation when we talk about prosecuting a cop. Do I think, and I got into this conversation with one of my buddies. So I have a really good friend. His name's Preston Green. He's actually going to come on the show. He was supposed to be here today, but he had some things that came up. He wasn't able to be here. But he will be on the show likely next week. You will see him. You will probably see him a lot. Thing about Preston is, and I don't want to talk too much about him because I want to be able to introduce him and talk about him when he gets here. Preston and I have a unique relationship. He's also a cop. And we had this conversation the other day. And sorry, Preston, if you're watching, you missed this conversation, man. If you want to bring it up next week, that's fine. But you missed the conversation for today. So anyway, me and him talked about it. And here's my deal. Again, I'm not for just coming out here. You know, I sit right here in Dallas County. Dallas County is one of the most liberal counties that are out there. They love to prosecute cops. And what I like to relate this incident to, those that know about the Amber Geiger situation, she was a Dallas PD cop. This was a couple years ago. She had a apartment that she lived at, but the apartment, it looked the same on every floor. Literally every floor, it looked the same. She, was working a late shift. She got off. She went to her apartment. She just happened to get out on the wrong floor, and Botham Jean was in his own apartment. She thought she was at her apartment. She thought there was an intruder. She shot and killed Botham Jean. I don't know if anybody kept up with that case or not. It was a very emotional trial. involving the family and the judge, and it was crazy. Here's my deal, okay? I know it's different counties, I know it's different places, but that's easy to do, and I'll tell you why. I was in Gulf Shores, Alabama last week. We were on vacation with my kiddos and my fiance, and we were at a beachfront condo. Okay, so on the beachfront condo, every floor looks the same, minus the little number when you get off the elevator. Okay, and the little thing on the door. And in this day and age, man, like when you're just you're not paying attention, you're on your phone, texting, whatever the case may be. You can easily go to the wrong floor. Let me tell you what happened. So my fiance, we're waiting on her to show up. I don't know where she's at. She hadn't, she's been gone longer than she was supposed to be. And she came back up and she was like, oh my gosh, you won't believe what I just did. So we were on like the 15th floor. And so she, wasn't thinking. She was texting. She said she was looking at her phone. She ended up getting off on the 5th floor. So, we were room 1504, and she gets off on the 5th floor because in her mind she just sees 5 kind of out of her peripheral. And then she goes to room 504. She's banging on the door. She's like, open the door. I know you're in there. What's taking you so long? She's texting all this stuff. Somebody answers the door, and they're like, what are you doing? She got off on the wrong floor. And so the Amber Geiger situation, total accident. Right? A man lost his life. Do I think she should just, it was such a crazy situation. What do you do? Do you prosecute? Do you just, let a man die and do nothing? What is the answer, man? That's a tough question. Okay. But the reason I bring up Amber Geiger, and I kind of got off track, but I wanted to talk about that and go back to the situation in Lamar County, Colorado, because if we're going to prosecute Amber Geiger and we're going to put her in prison for killing a man on accident, okay, what do we do with this situation in Lamar County? Is that an accident? And I already know I'm going to hear it, man. I'm not popular to cops because they call me Blue Falcon. They call me Monday morning quarterbacking. But all I'm doing is having dialogue. And what I want y'all to do when y'all watch this, I want you to put in the comments what you think about this situation. Write me, tell me what you think, kind of what your opinion is. I'm not saying one thing over the other. What I'm saying is, you put Amber Geiger in prison, okay? But this guy, he tased a man, and the man died because he tased him. Not because he had, heart failure from the taser or anything bad happened. I mean, the man died because he tased him in the middle of the road and he got ran over. There were so many things he could have done. Like, I look at the situation, I'm like, okay, you say, oh, shit. Like, you look and you say, oh, shit, I see the car coming. What is your option? You can drop that taser. You can run over there, grab him under his arms, pull that guy. There's so many things that could have been done, all the way up to not deploying the taser. And they say they're not going to file any charges on him. Okay. So I'm just bringing this up as dialogue as to, okay, so we're going to indict Amber Geiger, put her in prison, but this guy's not going to get any charges. And again, I don't think the deputy intended on killing Mr. Thompson that night. Clearly, I don't think that. But because of his negligence, he did kill that man. And so, do I think he needs to go to prison for it? Do I think he needs to be indicted, have a trial, go to prison? I don't know. The man, if he's any kind of human at all, if he has any kind of heart, any kind of soul, that's going to bother him, man. That's going to bother him for a long time. And do I think that he needs to go to prison for that? I'm not saying I necessarily think that. I do think he needs to answer for it. I think that he doesn't need to be a cop anymore. That PTSD is, like I said, I assume, He's a decent human being. That's going to weigh on him. And making a decision like that to take a man's life, not willingly, because I don't think he willingly did it. He did it by mistake. And I don't know how he returns to duty, lives with that, thinking about that. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. Don't get me wrong, man. That could happen to anybody. I just don't think that he can return to the streets and perform his duties as a police officer after such a tragic incident. I don't think he needs to be thrown in prison. I think he needs to get some mandatory counseling. I think people need to help him through this. And, I think if he hadn't already, I don't know, I hadn't seen anything, but I know the family's upset. The family is upset because they lost, they lost their son, brother, dad, whatever. I mean, they lost a family member, so of course they're going to be upset. And so I believe he needs to apologize to the family, and he needs to be, he probably needs to find another career field. So the only reason I talk about that is just so people can really, especially cops, man, if you're a cop and you're watching this, you can really think about the decisions that you make. I want to get this word out to cops, okay? Think about what you're doing. When you're out there these days, I know cops love to run, they love to gun, they love to chase, they love to use all the lights, but man, sometimes it's just not worth what will come of that if you're not cautious. And my stance has just changed on that over the years. When I was a young cop, I used to run and gun. That used to be my thing. Used to love chasing people, used to love getting in pursuits. I was going to catch the bad guy. And luckily, by the grace of God, nothing bad happened to me. I didn't have a tragic a situation like that. And, I'm again, thanks to God for that. But so many things happen because cops get tunnel vision, and it all goes back to their training. So many times they are not trained to think. And you have to think. You have to slow down. You have to realize, we're about chasing bad people. We're about taking, predators off the street. But, a guy who just lied about his name, running after him, tasing him in the middle of the road, and him dying, was it worth it? Was it worth the chase? And I can tell you right now, I get so mad sometimes when I talk to cops because they're just like, no matter what, go after them, chase them, 115 miles an hour, chase them, pit them. Guys, you have to slow down. You have to think because, again, it's just not worth it sometimes. And so prayers for this guy, man. Prayers for the family of Mr. Thompson. I can't imagine. I just can't imagine that. And prayers for this officer, and I know there's so many people who've been done wrong by the justice system who will look at this and say, F that police officer, he needs to go to prison, blah, blah, blah. Listen, man, there's so much lack of compassion on both sides. So much misunderstanding, there's been so much done wrong. We have to start uniting the community, the police officers. We have to start doing better because we are on a downhill slide. It's not good. We are in the day and age of social media and so many things. Cops are under a microscope, and some of it I think is just a little over, it's a little too much. But then you look at the other side of it. I'll tell you right now, before I end the show, I just want to tell you a quick story. So like I said in the beginning, I was so fed up with law enforcement because I had been done wrong. My own people, my own brothers, had done me shitty. That's just the best word to use. Sorry if you're offended by cuss words. You're probably going to hear a few of them on this show. But they done me shitty. And, man, I saw all the corruption taking place. Listen to my podcast. You can hear all about it. More to come, man. I got more people lined up. But so many things I had seen, and I was just to the point to where I could not mentally handle it anymore. And I was ready to be out. I was ready to be done. And so because of that, I got out. I started my own business. It was successful. I kind of compartmentalized all the trauma that had happened to me within, my profession, all the crappy things that I'd seen. I just compartmentalized it. And, I was kind of, in my mind when I left, I was done with it. I was just done. I'd wanted to be a cop for so long, since I was a kid, and I never thought I would get out of it. But I was so glad, such a relief, and it took me so long to recover. And be honest with you, this podcast has really helped. Being able to tell my story, because other people told their version of my story, and they were just dead ass wrong about it. They lied. They're sorry individuals. And so this podcast has helped me. I had gone to some therapy for a little while. Say what you want. Therapy really helped, being able to talk to people about this. And I was just like, I hate to say it, but it's just the truth. Like, I borderline hated cops because of the trauma that had happened to me, and it was real. And the reason I can relate to people who struggle with the police is because I've been there. I've seen what some of the thin blue line, the quote-unquote thin blue line, can do to people. I've seen it. I've seen what the thin blue line can do to their own brothers and sisters. I've seen it. It still happens to this day. And many cops won't talk about it. They just hold on to that trauma because they need a job. They got to support their family. But the reason I can relate to some people is because I experienced it. With that being said, my goal is to try and bridge that gap. Because just like me, I wasn't perfect. I wasn't the perfect cop. I'm still not the perfect cop. Nobody is perfect. But this should kind of become my slogan because I say it all the time. Right is right and wrong is wrong. And so I want to bridge the gap with the community, all communities, with everybody in this nation, because it's just the lines have been obliterated. And because I know how those people feel, I've seen how those people were treated. That's why I do what I do. That is my passion with this platform, with this show, is to just try and change the picture that is set before us right now. And you better bet that I'm going to always stand for what's right. And sometimes right, man, it's like you don't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear that they're doing wrong or that they can do better. But constructive criticism and recognizing it, taking a step back. I fully believe that all the things that happened to me, I always question, I was like, why, man? Why is this happening to me? This is crazy. Never in a million years would I dream these things would be going on with me. These things happening to me. Why did I go 14 years in law enforcement and get out? The job the career that I loved, that I had passion for. I worked child sex crimes. I loved it. Why did I have to skid out of it and then look at it for 2 years and hate it? Why did that happen to me? And I fully believe the reason why that all those things happened to me was for me to be right here, right now, trying to bridge the gap. And I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't care who it pisses off. I don't care what cops aren't going to be my friends. I don't care what judges aren't going to be my friends. I don't care who hates me because of this. But I'm going to sit right here and I'm going to tell the truth and I'm going to bridge the gap, because there are good law enforcement officers. There are good judges. There are people good in our criminal justice system. We have to stand up, expose the wrong, raise the right, and change it. Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited for this first video podcast. I'm excited for the future of Failing Justice. And I'm thankful so much to you listeners for standing with me. And we will see you guys next week.
This is Failing Justice.